What a really great question. It's caused me to reflect quite a lot. So, when do I choose bacteriostatic or bug trapping dressings versus our bactericidal dressings, our bug killing dressings? So, the former being things like DAC or hypertonic saline, and the latter being our iodines, could be cadexamyl povidone, if you use that, and our AG type dressings. So there's a lot of points to it that will affect my decision making. The first point I want to make is that I find it really hard to separate from the question of what am I doing to clean the wound? What am I doing in the wound hygiene space? How much chronic infection or even an overt infection, our classic signs and symptoms of infection that's on the IWII infection continuum. Please familiarise yourself with that. So how much of a covert versus overt infection have I got? What am I doing as far as the wound hygiene, the cleansing? What solutions have I got for cleansing? I can't separate, what dressing, what bug static versus killing dressing do I use if I'm not even thinking about the cleansing technique and the product that I'm using there, because you're going to be stirring things up. And also, what secondary dressing am I using? Because when we're concerned about covert or overt infection, we really want a lot more breathability in the dressing, particularly our biofilm type infections. They just can really swelter if it were under lower moisture vapor transfer rate dressings. Even though a lot of our beautiful modern dressings are quite breathable, we find in our chronic wounds, where we're often using a topical antimicrobial of those, that if it's an older wound, there's going to be more anaerobic bacteria in the environment, and the more that we seal that in, and the less amount of dressing frequency, lower dressing frequencies, those anaerobic bacteria are going to quite flourish. So we need to be changing them more often and using dressings that help pull up or sequester the exudate, and almost bacteriostatic, that secondary dressing, pulling up the exudate, trapping it in our big, soaker dressings, and allowing the moisture vapor transfer rate, because they all affect how your primary dressing is going to work as well. So back to the question, I go roundabout before I answer it. I will do a step up, step down approach. Monitoring is incredibly important. So sometimes I won't have one available. There's nothing wrong with starting on in the other group, either way. But are you monitoring? Are you giving it a 2-week challenge? Is it working or not? What's the amount of exudate doing to the wound? Is the modality, so the mesh or a gel or a fibre, is it leaking onto the surrounding skin? Is it holding that caustic fluid on the wound and or skin for too long? How does that interact with the secondary dressing? So it's often, for me, the modality of how much exudate I've got and how often I want to change the dressing as to which one I choose. But then again, I will do the step up, step down part to it as well. So if it's more of an overt infection, I might want to use the bug killers, the bactericidal dressings, versus more of a covert infection, I may go for the bug trapping bacteriostatic dressings. But I will use them quite interchangeably. It's about the monitoring. You cannot isolate the cleansing technique, the wound hygiene strategies, going hard on them, because you could choose any of those bactericidal, bacteriostatic dressings, not do wound hygiene, not think about how your secondary dressing's working and the dressing frequency, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to get better. So you've got to marry it up with that. You've also got to think about who's using this, who's doing the dressing, what skill level have you got, can it be used appropriately? So you might have someone who perhaps can't use a cadexamyl iodine well, or a silver well. You might have people who can't even do gauze scrubbing. All kinds of circumstances. We're not judging anyone here, but you've got to have it being able to be used properly and problem solve every little part of the puzzle. Line all your ducks up and keep them in a row, and choosing that bacteriostatic or bactericidal dressing is just one point of it. It's more important to get it right and to be consistent and to review it and to have that clinical rationale as to why you might change from one to the other. I hope that helps. Good luck. Just get in there and try it, and you will learn by taking off the dressing of the one that you put on the most. It's really hard to come in as piecemeal, so get in there and review those wounds. Thank you for a really great question.